This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, Delaine. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thank you for being here this morning.
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody who's viewing this. We are sitting here this morning on Saturday with Delaine Shay, and Delaine is going to share some really awesome information with us about something that she has done. And I just can't wait for you to share it because I haven't actually heard it personally from you. The first thing I really want to ask you, though, before we get rolling here is it okay if I record this video?
Yes.
Okay, good. And then is it okay, Delaine, if I share this video with viewers on social media?
Yes.
Okay, super. Thank you. Okay, so let's get started right away here, and we're going to talk all about you. So, Delaine, if you could introduce yourself and introduce your business, introduce what your business is about, I would love to hear it.
I am Delaine Shay. I grew up in a small town in South Dakota here, just north of Sioux Falls. I say that Trent has a population of 200, counting cats and dogs. And they were all, growing up, they were all just wonderful people. Well, most of them.
Good.
And my business is that I am an author of my memoir, And Then We Laughed, a memoir of hope and healing. I am a certified spiritual director, meaning I listen to people as they explore their faith and reflect back to them to help them come to some clarity and growth. And I'm also an addiction ministry advocate and an inspirational speaker. I really love going out and telling my story and hearing from other people sacred parts of their story. That was a wonderful surprise for me that I didn't expect that people would, in just a few minutes, confide such sacred parts.
Sure, sure. Well, that's awesome. Do you do anything else, Delaine?
Yes, I am a caretaker for my husband, and we are 18 years apart. And so at this point, he needs my help, and I'm so in love with him that it has its challenges, but it's a gift to have him here at home with me. And we laugh about something every day.
Oh,
and, yeah,
I love to hear that.
Yeah, and we hold hands a lot.
Oh,
So,
I love that.
yeah,
Oh,
I do
good.
too.
Okay, so Delaine, share your story, if you would, about your life in addiction and your book that you wrote about,
Yes.
or that the book that you wrote describing what it was like for you.
Well, I always used the word frustrating. I was so frustrated with life, and I had so much baggage that I was carrying with me. And when I was a little girl, I had two older sisters and an older brother. Billy was 4, and I was 2 years and 10 months old. I say that exact age because I've watched our grandchildren at that age and know how relational they are. My dad worked across the road from our house at a grain elevator, and I was sitting in front of our house in the dirt, and my two older sisters and my 11-year-old uncle went across the street to say hi to Dad. My little brother scampered after them, and accidentally my dad backed over my brother. And whether it was he backed over or the truck lurched back, no way of knowing. But the thing is, my brother died instantly. And my brother and I looked alike. We were the two blondes with green eyes, while my sisters had this lovely brown curly hair and brown eyes. I felt like the blonde sheep in the family. But 2 weeks after Billy died, my mom had to have emergency surgery for a large tumor on her ovary. So I was shipped off to stay with someone. I don't know who. I don't know if it was my grandparents, but my sisters were with my dad, or I don't even know where they stayed. It was all a blur. So my brother died, my mom went to the hospital, and then just 6 years later, my uncle was on his way home after Sunday school to go pick up Grandma and Grandpa in Flandreau to take them to church. Somebody who had read my book said, yeah, your uncle was going to be an usher in church that Sunday. A man who had been drinking all night long at 10 o'clock in the morning ran into my uncle's car, and Tommy flew out and hit his head. And they rushed him to Sioux Falls, and he died the next day. And for me, it was like losing another part of my family. And shortly after Tommy's death, this was my mom's only brother. Shortly after his death, my dad had what was then called a nervous breakdown. I came home from Sunday school, excited to see Dad. My mom and sisters and I had gone, and he was standing in the doorway, and he had his hands covering his face, and he was sobbing. And he said, I can't take it anymore. And I didn't know what it was. I didn't know if it was me, if looking at me, seeing my brother all the time, I didn't know. But all of those things and more things happened. We had to be evacuated because of floods. We had a fire in the middle of the night that was in my bedroom. And Dad got us out. We were all saved. But all of those things accumulated. When I was a sophomore, our school closed down in Trent, and we went to Flandreau. My junior year, I got a phone call from my mother asking where my dad was. Mom was working in Flandreau at the Indian school. Dad was traveling around the country, and she wanted to know where Dad was. I knew something was wrong. You know how you just have that sense, And so I just pushed her to tell me what was wrong. And my uncle had taken his life. And so somehow I got out, took Mom's car and drove out to see my aunt, Dad's sister. I still can't imagine how this happened, that we had 5-10 minutes alone together. We were sitting in her green wingback chairs. And I said, I believe that Uncle Nanky is in heaven. I believe that God loves us, and he is, and we talked more, and Aunt Hilda said, how did you get so wise? Well, I sure didn't feel wise. It was just that I knew depression. I didn't know the name, but I knew what depression was, and I knew death. I knew death.
Yeah.
And I knew what assurance meant. So after that, I started really drinking.
Okay, so how old were you then, Delaine, when you really started taking off with drinking?
I was probably just turned 16.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
And how long did you drink?
Oh, kid, I drank until I was 36 years old, even though I had a number of things happen that were problems because of alcohol consumption.
Sure.
I fell down a flight of steps, cement steps, and broke some teeth out. So it took me a long time. And back then, when I was in high school, this is 50 years ago, drinking was, oh, they're young, they'll get over it.
Right.
But I think my mom always kind of had an idea that it was a problem for me. But when I was 17, I got into a career. I was going to X-ray school, and dead bodies, and it was just horrific. We had to x-ray a body that had been in a small airplane crash. The head was gone and there were corn stalks coming up out of the cavity.
Oh my gosh.
So I drank a lot then.
Sure.
And when I was 19, I had a nervous breakdown and I was hospitalized for a week.
Sure.
And I can't go into that whole thing, but it was very demeaning. The treatment was demeaning. It was way back when. And I swore I would do anything to never go back there again. And I wanted to fit in and I just kept drinking. Not that everybody else was drinking, but it was my escape. I would read the Bible at night. I'd read the Psalms and then I'd go drinking.
Yeah.
So it was very confusing, very frustrating.
So Delaine, tell me what your bottom was.
My bottom. You know, I had several bottoms that I bounced up from, which may sound crazy. When I fell down the flight of steps and knocked my teeth out, that should have been it. That should have been my bottom, but it wasn't.
So what was your final bottom before you decided to get sober?
I would say my divorce. My husband and I had, we were pregnant and the pregnancy didn't last. And that was a huge grief for me. And after we got divorced, that I would say was a bottom where I said, I can't drink like I used to drink. And I got remarried after 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
And I would drink with my husband, but I watched it. I was so careful to watch how much I drank. So I didn't drink very much. Well, I didn't realize that that was an obsession of my mind, you know, whether it was how much I drank or how little. And so that would have been my bottom. And I started going to some meetings. I went to an Al-Anon meeting. I went to, what is the other one? For adult children of alcoholics. Went to that meeting, took a day off work, read my book that I got from there, threw it down the hall of my house because it pointed too much at me. I went to an Al-Anon meeting one night with my husband and I just started crying and I couldn't stop. We're sitting in a restaurant with a good friend, my husband and Judy, and I said, you guys, I think I'm an alcoholic. Oh, they just grinned as white as can be. Now, otherwise that would have really ticked me off.
Right.
Yeah, but it didn't. I was so excited. It was like the weight of the world fell off my shoulders. I said, do you want me to go to treatment? What should I do? And I was managing a medical clinic at the time, and I didn't care what anybody thought. I wanted help.
Yeah.
And my friend and her husband said, you are so excited. We want you to go to 90 meetings in 90 days. And my husband said that I went to 120 meetings.
Wow.
So I was just, you know, I saw the first meeting I went to, people were smiling and hugging my friend. And I thought, I want that. I want to be part of this.
So Delaine, tell me how long you've been sober, and then let's talk about how people can find your book or your books. Let's talk about your website and what your Facebook profile page is, and then we've got to wrap it up.
Yes.
So please tell me how long you've been sober.
I've been sober 33 years.
Congratulations.
By the grace of God and a terrific fellowship of people who are determined to help each other.
Yes, awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, so it looks like you've got your book there.
Yeah,
Can you show the camera your book?
Here's my book, and then we laughed. My grandson Nathan designed it. I didn't know the we was going to be so big.
Yeah.
But it's my platform now, is that we need each other.
Yes.
We can do this.
Awesome.
And yeah. And
okay, so how can they find your book? If they want to purchase your book, where is your book being sold?
My book is being sold in Sioux Falls at Barnes & Noble, Pilates, Crossroads, and reach literacy. But online, you can get it at Amazon.com or
Okay.
Barnes and Noble.
Okay.
And my Facebook page is Delaine Shay author.
Okay.
And it's a thrill to be able to tell my story in order to help other people tell their stories.
Yes.
And
yes.
it's a calling that God has given me.
That's so amazing. Thank you so much for this morning. I'm so glad that you're a part of the Fierce movement. I'm so grateful that I have gotten to know you a little bit because I'm in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous with you, and I have had the pleasure to finally meet you and to get to know you a little bit better. And I'm super grateful for that relationship that we have.
I am
and
too.
I look forward to seeing more of you, and we will talk again very soon. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Have a good day, Delaine.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.